and how we can get better understanding of the people of the salmon. And one of the things that I would like to ask you is that we've always had a problem in this part of North America and North America as a whole around unity. How do we build national unity between all different peoples, non-original people, original peoples, and various different cultures and creeds and language that we have in our country? What is the position and what is the view of the people of the salmon around building unity between the different people of this country, and how do you see that going forward?
Well, thank you for the question, Alan. It's an interesting topic, and there's a few points to your questions about unity. First of all, is that we have a common goal to be free, to be sovereign, and to walk together with this land, and in a good and peaceful, loving way. And so, when we talk about unity and the commonality that all people face in the corporation that has usurped your rights by law, that we could change that and have done so, since unity requires that the landholder, the original peoples, people of the salmon, people of the buffalo, the Mi'kmaq, all across Canada, come together in unity, that we could walk together under the terms of a de jure governance. Quality now.
And when you talk about that sort of unity, what sort of place or what sort of opportunity do you see for the non-original peoples? There's a lot of people in Canada who realize there's been a terrible history in this country which they haven't appreciated because of decades of propaganda and probably propaganda and misunderstanding on all sorts of sides. Those communities are maybe fearful of engaging any more deeply because they've had generations of prejudice sort of that they've been exposed to. What would you say to people that are non-original people of Kanata? Is there a part or is there a place for them within that unity that you speak of?
Well, when people come to peoples of the salmon and walk together in a way that's encompassing, we get to address all the issues, all the misfortunes that have been usurped from the rights of the trespassers and squatters, as the original people might call them, where they came to this land on a ship that since 1666 in the Fire of London, is that all the property was put into trust. So as these people come to these shores, they've been in that trust. They land on the shores of Canada, and they've been invited over by the company and the corporation of the Hudson's Bay, which turned into Northwest Company and into Canada under the terms of a so-called Act, the British North American Act of 1867. And then if you take these characters, these actors, and mix a de facto government, because they've never bought the land. If you talk about where the original people had rights and title, had the freedoms to travel, to hunt, to fish, to gather their foods in the forest where their medicine baskets were. Now you've got a newcomer that comes to the land that couldn't survive in this land without the original people. They landed in the shores here, and then to realize that in order to take the lands away, they had to reduce the original people of their food sources. In the first case, they destroyed and killed 40 million buffalo, and then put us on welfare. After they put us on welfare, they took our food sources away. That's gone. And then they started making sure that everything you do is well within a corporation. So as we move together, we can take you out of that corporation, since 1666 has never been repealed as a law. So our people have been put into this trust, and the original peoples as well. They were put on these reservations under an act that was never a law of Canada. It was never even a bylaw. However, they did manage to put original people on reservations and then give them councils under the government. So when you're talking about the Vital Statistics Act of the provinces owned by Canada, that means the law of 1666 is still here today, where if you don't show up to collect your security, the security is owned by the corporation. And so the corporation owns the security, owns what you are as a chattel in it, that if you haven't showed up to claim your real your property, is that it's owned by the corporation in Canada. Therefore, Trudeau has claimed that his property has to be vaccinated. And so, since June 2021, is that the Indian Act has never been a law of Canada, it's never been royal assented, never had 3 readings, and never gazetted as a law of Canada. Therefore, what they did was just at the end of a gun barrel and trickery is that they had forced all the people into the corporation, and for the Indians on reserve land, that they were the agents for, that they were the gatekeepers, and that we were wards of the government because of this fictitious Indian Act, and that was never right.
Which you say has no legal standing at all.
Absolutely, has no legal standing.
Now, if thinking about the implications of this, clearly all people that live in this land, being original or non-original, become victims of this corporate dictation, which is not based on any legal, does not have any legal basis. So what could the non-original people do to state their sovereignty? Is there any way that they could say, I don't want to be part of this because I see the criminality of it? Is there anything that the people of the Salmon can do to help, or that what would your advice be to somebody who is wanting to assert their sovereignty?
Ask to get off the ship for the first part. Come to the nations that you're inhabiting. Ask to walk off the ship that they came over in, that either them or their previous heirs and successors. Walk off the corporate ship. Take back your security of person, and that's capital P, capital E, capital R, S-O-N, and live back on the land and walk the land with the original peoples as sovereign individuals.
Now that sounds great, but the practicality of it, people I fear wouldn't have the first clue what to do. So if they want to get off the ship, what process can they follow? Can you give any advice on tangibly what they could do right now? What would the way that they could do that and to assert their sovereignty? So in terms of getting off the ship first, what would they need to do? Just in terms of a couple of steps, so that when as people are listening, they can know tangibly what they need to do.
Well, at one time, after they made the birth certificate in 1933 and bankrupt the ship called Canada, and now it's that ship is called the Crown, is that all the birth certificates and under vital statistics, all the property was bonded and put into a vault as a manufacturer's certificate of origin. So as babies were born, mothers signed them onto the ship, and birth, B-E-R-T-H-E-D, and a certificate, manufacturer's certificate of origin made out, is that when you join with the original peoples, is that we have a right after 18 to be the age of majority to take back that property and contracts that were made out on the individual. So as people move through the process, is that there's a number of ways to do this. However, if they were walking with the peoples of the salmon, we will take and be the secured party, or make sure that these individuals are secured parties of their property, and not the corporation. So as the corporation has to deal with a contract that they no longer own, the onus it will be on as a covetor to take these people under our wing, like we had in previous years, or they walk on their own in sovereignty with their own right to property within their own sphere of common law and in the sovereign spirit.
That is great advice, because I think a lot of people are yearning for that. They just don't really know how to do it. And I think that what you're doing is laying out a very vital option for them where they otherwise feel helpless because you just feel trapped by the corporation. So in terms of the statement of sovereignty, is there anything like on the website of the people of the salmon or anything like that where people can pledge their desire to be sovereign? Is there anywhere that people can make such a statement?
Well, when you join with people of the salmon and come to the website, you have first of all, there's a tab that creates a non-consent to be governed by the Corporation of Canada, and that's one step. Another step that we've implemented, and it will soon be there, is that there will be a passport that an individual can fill out that gives him all his rights of freedoms, his identity, and it will be recognized by the first law of the land, which are the original people. And as they buy as they acquire these passports, it will give them immunities against the tyranny of a rogue government. Well, you know.
Now this is, I think, very significant information, because everybody is wanting to be free of the tyranny of a rogue government. And at the moment, this whole talk of freeing yourself from the tyranny of the rogue government is very, very topical at the moment. And we know that there's probably 10 or 15% of the population who are pushing back against things like the vaccine passport mandate and that sort of thing. As the non-original people sort of are stirring and beginning to rise up against this encroachment of their freedoms, what would you say to them in terms of your own struggle as the people of the salmon for freedom? And do you see any commonality between these two struggles, your historic struggle and the current struggle that the original and non-original people are having around things like the vaccine mandates? Is there anything that you can speak to the common struggle there, and how you see unity for everyone coming as a result of this common struggle?
Well, when the non-native government set up there in 1871 in BC SIC, which is only a region, only a corporation on the original peoples of the salmon lands, which we are the rights entitled, we've never given them up. There's no signed documents, no signed treaties. They might say they are, however, there's none signed with an international sovereign. The only treaties that might have been here are the ones signed with the Corporation of Canada, as seal of Canada, and under a threat of arms. When they took our people, put them in the Indian Act, they restricted movement, they restricted religion, restricted money, restricted freedoms, and then used the schools to vaccinate people, run scientific experiments,
Shocking.
and give them diseases and test their nutrition in ways that we never could imagine. And then if you throw some criminal teachers and priests and nuns into abuse and I don't really want to go down this road, but of torture, of slaving of these children. Now, 1,500 deaths, and if the Crown was responsible for their wards, they failed. They failed in criminality. So now you have the same rogue government taking all the people and giving them a vaccine that's not proven, It's not tested, not scientifically
Yeah.
available on a COVID, on a supposedly flu that's not even valid. It might exist in one form, however, it's no more than a flu. And since
Yeah.
2020, there's no people have died from flus. There's no people have died from heart attacks.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all falling under the same guise. And the similarity of this fight, although it's very new, the COVID situation is very new. Based on your historic experience, you've seen this happen before, as you say. The people of the Salmon and all First Nations people have suffered this exact same experience before. So essentially, the way that I see it is you are in perfect alignment with the current freedom movement. And unlike anyone else in Kanata, you have experience dealing with this already. Would you sort of agree with that statement?
Yes, for sure. If you go back to 1850 in Victoria Harbor, when they brought their first bioweapon over, which was smallpox, they had a vaccine for helping the people. But did they? And the answer is no. So now with
and that's what we're seeing again.
and right now is there's help and there's remedies that we as people, original people, have original medicines and ways to help the ones that participate with us, the followers of our de jure governance, is that we can provide them the remedy. We can also provide them a freedom of a passport that that is available to them on our website. And right now it's that the first 5,000 people that join will have these passports of freedom and identity with our people. And I think after we get through the initial startup and rollout of the passport, we'll have them available for approximately $25 to $50 donation.
Now, I think that is a lifeline for many people in this country right now. I think it is going to be something that everybody who's listening to this interview will long for, and they've probably been praying for it for many months now. How do you feel if you had maybe 50, 100,000, maybe 1 million people suddenly saying, we need to sign up, we need to partner with you for the good of both of, or for good of all people in Kanata? Would you be able to handle that volume of people? And how do you feel about such an influx of people suddenly coming and pledging allegiance to the people of the Salmon and believing and supporting your de jure government? Would you be able to handle that? And how do you think that there would be then a risk of the integrity of your cultural identity?
Nope, not at all. We've survived millennia, thousands of years. We have a burial site that's just in Turtle Island in our community. The people look like us today. The chief, his wife, and his twin boys. Whatever they died of then back then, or how they died, was another story. However, if you take the passports, our website is set up to operate in the millions of people, up to 5 million before we have to reset. So if you take these passports, which are available to the community, is that they join our family in respect, is that you don't have to worry about the loss of a license. You don't have to worry about the RCMP and enforcement by the corporation, because they don't exist as law on our land. So as these people join us and they join our family, is that the Corporation of Canada, that some may want to exist, and some of them that may vote for it, will still exist on the land. We're not destroying all that's been set up, because there's a pension, there's people that have security with it, they have their own pensions. However, the money and the transparency of how that government work will be with common sense with our people, and the way we will govern all the people.
every person in Canada and everybody who identifies as a Canadian longs for that. I think that's fundamentally what people are wanting. If you were to get a couple of million people joining or swearing allegiance to your de jure government and claiming their passport for freedom, I think quite soon you would be a remarkable political force in this country. What is your long-term view around the coming together of so many people and the leverage that would give you? How do you see the sort of medium or the short and medium term political future with that level of support that you might get?
Well, thanks for asking that one. That's what I was trying to get to the last before you answered it. With people voting for Canada, the de jure government, and coming through our website, peopleofthesalmon.net, peoplesofthesalmon.net,